Hey, welcome to the McGuire Review, and today we're going to be taking a look at Titan Race from FunForge and Neverworld. This is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, games that I just recently picked up from Origins. It's a really fun one. I've always enjoyed FunForge games. I think they do a great job with their stuff. But this one is a lot of fun for me. I really like the components, and we'll go over that here in a second. I love games that include some type of sculpted miniature, and this one did. It's got very much of a race feel to it when you play the game and you go through these boards. And on top of it, you can see from the box here, it's got a very small form factor that it all fits into, so it's great for travel. So if we look at this one, it's a 30-minute, 2 to 6 players, and 8+. Although I've played this with my 7-year-old, and she had no problem going through this game, understanding the concepts of the game, understanding when she could use her abilities and when she couldn't, and she actually won. So there you go. All right, so let's hit the components really quick, and then I'll go through a quick overview of the gameplay. The game does include, they threw in a product catalog here, so just a little something. They've got other games from their line that they included. Just a little bit of a marketing material that's in the box. You've got a really nice rule book. The rule book is fairly short. It's 12 pages, front to back. And on the back, there's a few different variants that you can use to play the game. So it's not just one straight rule set. You got 3 different variants. 2 players, teams, or the Grand Slam. I have only played 2 players, but I bet you teams is pretty fun as well. I can see this game getting a lot of fun with teams. It's got a really nice full-color rule book, so there isn't a lot of text in there, but there are a ton of pictures and a ton of color throughout the rule book, so it's a very, very quick read. I think I spent probably all of about 4, maybe 5 minutes skimming through the book, and it's very straightforward, and you're ready to go and start playing. What you're going to find here are what they call your bonus Titan ability cards, and these are just abilities that you can pick up as you play the game. There's certain spaces on the board that if you land on them, you're able to grab one of these special ability cards. Just something you can kind of play and lay down as you go through the game to kind of give yourself a benefit, or maybe even pull someone back and kind of mess up what they're trying to do with their particular strategy. Over here, what you're going to see is pretty much the character setup. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters that you can choose in the game, or 6 Titans, and each one of those Titans have a little have some type of a being on the top that's sort of riding them and controlling them. So they're kind of riding these beasts or these Titans. It adds a layer of fun. And then what you'll find here is each one of these Titans has a very unique ability that they each get. So for instance, when we look at Ragnarok here, and I think Ragnarok, our first Titan, he has the Icy Punch, and that will move an adjacent Titan 1 space in any direction. And we've got another one here that will kick off a Titan behind you in order to advance 1 space. Another special ability, Fire Breath, inflict 1 damage to each of the 3 spaces behind you. So as you can see, each one of these Titans do have a unique special ability. So with replayability, depending on who you choose, it does have a different feel and gameplay to it. And that ability can be used once per turn. So every time it's your turn, you can use this ability that does come with your particular Titan. These special abilities, once you use them, they're done. So it isn't something where you use it and then you flip it back over, the next turn you get another one. And you can only have a max of 2 of these at any point in time. So if you ever land on, one of these spaces that give you another one of these, usable abilities, at that point you're going to have to decide to discard, or, you're not going to take an ability because you already have 2. So again, only 2 at a time. So let's go over the board really quick. And each one of these boards are double-sided, which is really nice. So you get quite a bit of gameplay here. So you've got actually 6 boards that are included in the game, and each one of them are unique in nature. And in the book, it will explain each one of the boards and what the special spaces on that board do. I'm going to go over the ice board here, And what you're essentially going to do when you play this game is everyone's going to start at the bottom, and every time it's your turn, depending on how many players are in the game, you're going to pick up that many dice. Okay, so the game comes with 6 dice, obviously, for 6 players. So let's just say we're playing a 3-player game, and these are our 3 Titans that we have. We're going to set those Titans up on the board. And let's say that this is the start of our game, and we set these players up on the board, and you can choose where you would like to set up your Titan on the board. It just has to be at this back row. So let's say we set them up like that. That's how the players chose to do it. There's 3 players, so we're going to have 3 dice each time we have a game round. Let's say I was the first player. I would take the dice, and I would roll all 3 dice. Now, at this point, I am going to choose one of these 3 dice, and each one of these dice have different symbols on them that allow us to do different actions with the game. Some of them allow us to move forward 1 and then move diagonal. Some of them allow us to move forward twice. Some of them allow us to go diagonal 3 times. And that's what's nice about this board, is that when your movement really doesn't have to be just straightforward. You can move either straight, you can move diagonal, and when you actually go off of the board, it's like you wrap back around the other side. So that's a nice concept as well. That is also how you track laps. So after you're able to move your Titan all the way through and across, and you cross the end of the bottom of the board, you essentially kind of wrap back around, and now you start on lap 2. And to win the game, you have to successfully get through to the 4th lap. So you'll see on each one of these cards, there's a spot, and there's different chits that are involved in the game here. The track health, as well as laps, as well as where traps can get dropped. Talk about that here in a second. You'll see on this board, there's a spot right up here to place the actual chosen die that you're going to go with. There's a spot right here to track the health, and once you run out of health, then you get technically knocked out, and you have to go around, and you can get back up. And then at the bottom here is your actual laps. You'll see 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can use a marker to track that as you go through the game to see what lap you're actually on. And again, the object of the game is just to be the first one to make all your laps and win the race. What's actually really interesting through the game is, back to our example, if I was the first player and I rolled these 3 die, I would choose the one that I would want, and I would take that and I would perform that action. And the next player would choose the die they want. And the next player would be left, obviously, in a 3-player game with whatever the last die was. But then on the next round, the next player to your left would then roll all 3 of those die and then become the first one to select which die they wanted, and then it would go around the table again. So it's a nice mechanic to kind of mix up the chance of what you're actually going to be able to do when it's your turn. Are you only left with just one of the actions and that's what you're forced to do? Or do you get that choice of being able to select first before everybody else what you may want to do based on where everybody else is on the board? Now, there's a couple of different cool mechanics that play out as you're playing. As you're playing the game, there's a few spots on the board that will cause you to do things that may be a little bit out of your control. For instance, on this ice board, every time there's a spot with a little, and I know it'd be difficult to see, but I'll have pictures here up close at the end. Wherever there's a little, squiggly arrow, if you happen to land on that, that's going to make you slide 1 space forward, or maybe 1 space diagonal. It's whatever direction you're traveling in. So that may mess somebody up, or that may mess you up. There's times where you may be able to move into a space where someone else is and kind of push them in a certain direction, and that may harm them one way or the other. There's times where you're able to place traps or drop traps and push other people into those traps, or play cards that might force them to fall into those traps, which would then hurt their health, and obviously if they got knocked out, slow them down in the race. So there's all these different mechanics that are kind of playing out as you're playing the game, but at the same time, it's completely a beer and pretzels game. I mean, it's so straightforward, it's so easy. Every time it's your turn, you just select one of the die, or again, you're left with whatever's left if you're the last person around the table, and you do that action. And you try to make use the best you can of whatever you have on that turn. It is a very simple one, and quite frankly, I love these games that have this simple mechanic, but yet you still have the ability to deploy some strategy and pull some fun as you're going through the game to maybe pull off the win. So FunForge, you know, great job on this game. I'd love to see an expansion added to this with more boards, maybe more Titans, maybe even some more gameplay mechanics that are dropped on to add a little bit more complexity to some of the abilities that you offer up. But you know, all around, I think it was a great job on this. I'm very glad that I picked this up. You know, anybody that's watching the review, this is a high recommendation. Please go out, pick this one up. You won't be sorry. Click that like button. Subscribe below to the McGuire Clan. This has been the McGuire Review. I'll see you next time.